It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
Holy moly, it's 4th of July week. Are you kidding me? The summer's flying by, which means it's time for another cup of coffee with Wild Will and Uncle Chris right here at Slumberland at the lake. And Chris, I'll tell you what, hard to believe we talked about Memorial Day weekend, seemed like just yesterday.
Yep.
But 4th of July officially here, meaning fireworks and family get-togethers and so many things in the works. And I'm guessing you and Mrs. Uncle C probably got some big plans for the 4th.
Yeah, this one's going to be kind of quiet for us, I think. I don't think we have any family coming in or anything like that. So we're just looking forward to a nice, quiet, fun 4th of July. We're not going to go out on the water because it's too crazy out there, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully it'll be fun. Hopefully we'll get to see some good fireworks show and all that.
Yeah, we're the exact opposite. We got all the family coming in and rotating from ours and mom and dad. So we're looking forward to that and some golf. But first, we got some local headlines to talk to you about. Sycamore Creek Apartments, looks like the workers back on site. Everyone supposedly has been paid on that. We'll tell you a little bit about that. The TCLA and CVB, questions about what happens to them. There's no more lodging tax.
Yeah.
We'll tell you about a lawsuit appeal that was won. Plus, one of the biggest iconic attractions, Lake of the Ozarks, Big Surf Water Park.
Up for sale.
Yeah, you gonna buy it?
That's your kind of money, man.
Well, that could be anyone's kind of money, as undervalued as that property is. We'll tell you about that. Plus, everybody's talking about the no-pay assault at the Fish & Co. on the 20-year-old server. We're going to break that down a little bit and look at that from maybe a different angle or perspective than most people at this point. That and, of course, your LOZ rumor mill with the LOZ app, that and a whole lot more. But first, hey, don't miss the 4th of July blowout right here at Slumberland at the lake.
Hey everybody, Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. We're in the 4th of July season right now. It's sweltering hot outside. Are you having trouble getting a good night's sleep? Well, you need to come see us at Slumberland Furniture. We have special pricing on Tempur-Pedics, Stearns & Foster, Purple, and we have introductory prices on our Nectar mattresses. Not only are you going to get the sale price, but we're doing 0% financing on all these models at no extra charge. Come see us at Slumberland Furniture, where we're bringing happy home.
You up to 60% off, and as you can see, things are selling quick. I was in here yesterday prepping the show. Our set was looking great. I get here this morning, and oh my.
They sold it.
Yeah.
How about that?
So whoever bought it,
That's
we
great.
Thank you for supporting Slumberland at the lake, but you guys got to slow down. As soon as we get, we got to get a relationship going with a set, we build a little chemistry, boom, it's gone.
Yeah. But if you bought it, just give Wild Will a call. He'll come over and autograph it for you.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're not going to want on your beautiful new addition to your lake home, is we don't want to bring the property value down. So, all right, look, the local headline, there's a lot of them this week, but one of the ones we've been all over, we've followed, we've talked with the developer, the mayor, the contractors, the subcontractors, but the Sycamore Creek Apartments off of Nichols, of course, the delay with the delinquency and payment, the struggle to get the bank financing to kick in for Jeff Tegetoff and the developer. Well, after a lengthy delay and work being halted on site, it looks like all contractors have been paid and there is people back on site. This according to the PR firm for Tegetoff Develop. Oh wait, no, this is from Lake Expo. They have an article that came out. Back on track, work resumes at the $63 million apartment development at Lake of the Ozarks.
268 units. This is going to be a big place, Sycamore Creek apartment complex there in Osage Beach. So the site had been mostly quiet for the first half of this year. As we have told you in the past, financing hangups pushed subcontractors to go do other jobs. They stopped doing this one, and now the project back on track. The developer expects residents to be moving into the first units by the end of the year. So they're really getting busy here. Chad Nugent, owner, CEO of Thomas Construction, the general contractor for the project, said he hopes to clear the air about what happened and what didn't happen. He said for a while, the only thing that the project seemed to be getting was a whole lot of rumors and people asking what's going on here. Nugent said the project had been moving along well until the end of 2023. And then Nugent says the transition from owner financing to bank financing got bumpy. He said the goalpost kept moving from the bank for the bank to keep stepping back the financing of the project. He explained, he told Lake Expo that due to the unique nature of this development, there being no comparable projects anywhere else in the region, the hurdles, the headaches, the hoops to jump through seemed to be never ending. And this was coming from the bank, apparently. He said the project financing had been approved according to Tegetov, but the financial institution kept requiring additional information before the money would be released. And this was the big issue, apparently, according to Nugent. At this point in time, Nugent says, I have absolute full confidence it was not the owner's issue, it was the additional requirements, and it may not even have been the bank's issue, but it was additional requirements and regulations that had forced the bank to get a tighter hold on lending. So, and we kept talking about it week after week. What's going on? Who's at fault? And we kept saying, this is big construction. This happens a lot, especially, when financing is involved. But finally, it looks like it's back on track and maybe moving forward.
Yep, it looks like it is indeed. And so for those subcontractors and the general contractor, just hope that they feel secure. And as they remobilize the project and they're back on site working, hopefully they've been diligent and they're covered. Because just as far as I'm concerned, I would probably stay away from this project unless you're in a position where you couldn't afford to not complete the project with the opportunity given. I think that's what a lot of these contractors are at. But all good news as far as people getting paid here locally, as far as whether this comes to fruition and what that means for the Oasis at Lakeport, that's all to be determined. But interesting enough, the article itself provided by Lake Expo, I mean, it looked like it was right from the office of Jeff Tegethoff. Everything that he said, it aligned with that. It quoted him. It was very, very accommodating to his side of the story, which we've grown accustomed to from Lake Expo through their coverage of Oasis and also the Nichols apartments with Sycamore Creek. So although they're back on site, this seemed like a absolute PR piece. Yes, the developer is great, never any concerns. He communicated great. He sat down, we saw the pain in his eyes, yada, yada, yada. These things happen in big business. I still have a very dirty taste in my mouth over this development and the way that it was handled for local contractors. And we didn't see this communication and this movement from the developer or the city of Osage Beach with these contractors until people here locally started digging, started asking questions, and you felt like these local subcontractors had no choice but to cry out for help. And that's where we started to see movement. Now we've seen movement, we've seen payments, and hey, the developer's great, everything's hunky-dory, we're back on site. So it is interesting. We'll keep you posted on the Nichols apartments there at Sycamore Creek.
Yeah, and it does say, Nugent says, as of now, all subcontractors have been paid in full, and in some cases, they were even able to pay certain late fees to those businesses. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully it's on track. And if it is, which it sounds like it is, then sounds like people are going to be moving in there by the end of this year. So.
Oh, and I even saw that Osage Beach Mayor Michael Harmison and Lake Expo got the exclusive tour of these incredible apartments, so you got to see photos of just how special those will be. So in our next local headline, the Tri-County Lodging Association and the Lake of the Ozarks Convention and Visitors Bureau, two separate entities. A lot of people very unaware of what they do. Well, there was a lawsuit a few years ago, actually back in 2019, against the Tri-County Lodging Association. It was filed by Laura Solomon, who owned Point View Resort at the time, and Gail Griswold, who of course owns numerous wineries here locally and a political activist. You'll remember she was the school board president for Camdenton. Well, they filed a lawsuit against the Tri-County Lodging Association and the lodging tax in the Tri-County area, Morgan, Miller, and Camden counties. Now, this was started back in 1993, is when the Lake of the Ozarks Tri-County area started getting lodging tax. Now, it's confusing, but real quick, it's broken down into 9 different business districts. The Tri-County Lodging Association, each of the 3 tri-counties, Miller, Morgan, and Camden County, have a small, medium, and large business district that collect those taxes from the lodging or the hotels, and then they put that to work. They facilitate that to market their area. And so a lot of the smaller resorts felt like, hey, we're paying this lodging tax and we're not feeling like we're getting great representation. And so the lawsuit was filed back in 2019, And in 2023, the lawsuit lost. They said no, everything was fine here, and the funds were unfroze. Russell Burdett, who's with the Camden County Business District, he said the funds were released in and everything was normal. They remained hopeful. However, an appeal was filed by Gail Griswold and Laura Solomon, and as of the end of June, as you guys saw, the appeal was won. They found the Tri-County Lodging Association to be against Missouri statute in the way they were collecting and spending the money. And so the lawsuit reads that they have to no longer collect lodging tax effective immediately. And so this means a lot of things. And so for those of you out there wondering, well, does this affect us? Probably not immediately. However, when you see the Lake of the Ozarks in other parts of the country through St. Louis Cardinals baseball, Kansas City Chiefs football, Chicago, Iowa, Illinois, some of those markets, those marketing efforts from billboards and print advertising and digital retargeting ads are run from the TCLA and the CVB. And so now with this court ruling from May of 23 being overturned and the appeal being won, what does that mean for the Tri-County Lodging Association and the CVB? They're staffed. Currently, the TCLA's budget is massive, $1.9 million, I believe, and of that, they designated $250,000 to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Now, you guys know the restaurant guide and funlake.com. We use funlake.com a lot, especially in our events. They are staffed and they have fundraising efforts that they do or to gain revenue. I say fundraising, I mean they create their own revenue through Fun Lake and through the restaurant guide and their vacationer guide, but they also rely heavily on some of that funding from the TCLA. And so it's clear, the Tri-County Lodging Association, of course, that 3% in Miller and Morgan County, it's 5%, or sorry, Morgan and Camden are 3%, and Camden and Miller County is 5%. So what that means is if you go and you rent a room in Camden County, and you'd pay your normal 7.1% sales tax with your local county taxes, you'd tack an additional 3% onto that and pay 10.1%. It's not that uncommon, and actually, as a matter of fact, most of us, when we travel and stay somewhere else, we get hit with some of those fees that either we don't realize or we don't care about. And so that's where that was. Locals didn't pay for that. That was tacked on. And so then that percentage went to these districts, and they spent it to promote Lake of the Ozarks. And so the question now for people is, great, each individual entity is going to be responsible for gaining extra revenue and figuring out how they can promote and market their property. But what goes away is this national campaign on behalf of Lake of the Ozarks, and that lodging tax did not make up that 1.9 completely. They also get funding matched from the state of Missouri Division of Tourism. I think last year it was between $500,000 and $600,000 that was matched, meaning of that 1.9, they actually came up with 1.3. The state of Missouri Division of Tourism kicked in another $600,000 that was then put into marketing Lake of the Ozarks nationally. So numerous people didn't love this, and it wasn't just Gail and it wasn't just Laura at the time. It all started in 2019. You remember when there was the big soccer complex. They wanted to do the big soccer complex, and so they were looking for a lodging tax increase. Well, that got a lot of locals involved and starting to ask questions. And so when that lost, it didn't just lose in November of 2019, got slam-basted. It was a 1,600 yes to a 4,700 no vote. And so after that loss, a lot of people had questions, and that's about the time that people started to get together, and the lawsuit was then filed in 2020. And so although there were other people that had issues, I know there were business owners who just refused to pay this historically, said, hey, no, like we're paying massive money on lodging tax. I don't want my visitors eating an extra 3%, only so I can give that to the business districts and we get nothing for it. I'm not saying that's what's happening. That's what some business owners felt like. And so the grassroots effort kicked off, and as we said, they won this. So for you, Chris, you look at it, you look at the budget, you look at what they do. Is this a good thing or a bad thing as a whole for the Lake of the Ozarks?
I don't know. It would seem on the outside, and the ruling came from the Missouri Supreme Court overturning this, so that's the highest court in the state, obviously. The big question, I think, for everybody is this going to hurt the Lake of the Ozarks for national marketing, or are we fine without that? Are there other avenues around that? And only time is going to tell. But the budget for the TCLA for 2024, they were spending over $124,000 for billboards, over $57,000 for print and publications, over right around $550,000 for digital marketing, including Google ads, over 100,000 for Google ads, 40,000 for influencer marketing, whatever that is.
Influencer. In the day of social media.
There you go.
You have people that, let's say you have a big travel vlog or something on YouTube that has 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
It would make sense for them to find the right influencer that had a Midwest target, and they might partner with them to take a trip to the lake and then vlog that
about
experience.
how great it was.
Knowing that they have a large percentage of target audience that we're going after as far as they're like, hey, we want to hit Illinois more. We want to hit more hunters, we want to hit more outdoor enthusiasts, whatever it is, that's where those budgets are coming in. And so that is not surprising to me that in only 40,000 with that big budget on influencer marketing is a small percentage.
Very small. And then about 220,000 for TV and radio, like you were talking about, ads on the Cardinals or the Chiefs or something like that. So that's going to be going away because the tax was unconstitutional according to the Missouri Supreme Court. I don't know. I think Lake of the Ozarks is big enough now, and most people have heard about it since COVID and everything. I'm not sure that's going to be that huge of a deal, but I think people are going to have to find different ways to market. Like, a lot of people might be coming to Lake TV now because Lake TV is the only real television station at the Lake of the Ozarks. Okay, let's start marketing through you. Let's start reaching people that way.
Sure.
There are different ways to do it. I'm not sure that's going to hurt that much.
Well, what I, worry about is there's some things that have taken place, and hey, just because it's happened for so many years doesn't mean that it always has to, but you have some really good products and some good services that both the TCLA and the CVB offer, and so they've got staffs, good staffs that care. I will say that this all happened under the direction of Jim DeVincent, who was instrumental in getting the TCLA started. And in my opinion, Jim DeVincent did nothing that didn't serve Jim DeVincent. He's the one that got the TCLA in a lot of this mess to begin with. And so now that Legina's in there, she has had to walk through this lawsuit. It is not, she's had to pick up the pieces and she's had to keep moving the TCLA forward. And so when I think about her and I think about Heather Brown with the CVB and I think about their staff with Evan and all of these guys, Eric, that have done such a wonderful job, their livelihood is in jeopardy here. And so that's one thing that I think about because the TCLA does get a lot of heat, whether it's warranted or not, but it is stemming from the old leadership under Jim DeVincent. And now that it's been, 10 years removed, 8 years removed from a lot of the heat. And then of course, Jim hasn't been with the TCLA since 2017 or 2018. It's been a handful of years. And so now the TCLA kind of under the radar, and then you get this with the lawsuit. A lot of eyeballs on them, and I did reach out to Legina Fitzpatrick. She was unavailable for comment at the time that we aired this, but we're going to continue to stay in touch with them, and what I see this meaning is business owners are going to have to get together and collectively come up with a solution where they can all pile their money and allow their marketing budget to stretch far, because that was the concept. It was like you pass on the additional cost of the visitor, and then that pile of money goes to promote the lake as a whole. And even if it's not your business that's getting mentioned or getting showcased in some of these national marketing campaigns, it does bring new people to the lake. And when new people and an influx of people come to the lake, you're going to feel that. You're going to see a spillover or an overflow that's going to come to your business because there's so many places to stay, so many tables and plates to serve for the visitors coming to Lake of the Ozarks. So we'll see how creative the local business owners get as it comes to marketing themselves nationally.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with the TCLA and the CVB. The CVB has other means of supporting themselves other than this tax. The TCLA has no other funding. That was 100% of their funding. So obviously they're going to have to figure something else out or they're not going to be around.
Yeah, and I mean, even the match, the grant money that comes from Missouri Division of Tourism, they have to have that money up front to invest on marketing spends. And so they have to do that, then they get matched at the end of the fiscal cycle or the quarter with a reimbursement to match that. So if you don't have that to begin with, not only, like you said, you lose that lodging tax to create that, no matching dollars. So we'll see what happens to the TCLA. We're certainly thinking about them. This may end up being a good thing for the lake, but it doesn't make it easy for those that are sitting in there and who have been diligent and done things the right way. And for Legina Fitzpatrick, since she's been the executive director of the Tri-County Lodging Association, she has certainly worked hard and she's had integrity, she's been honest, and she has done her best with a very tough situation. From the day she takes over, you've got litigation. You're the one going to the courts. You're the one answering. You're the one pulling old budgets. That's tough. As
That's
you're
really
trying to market and promote the lake in the most aggressive, changing climate of marketing and media that our world has ever seen. So I tip my cap to Legina Fitzpatrick. That is not an easy position, and she has done a great job. So it's one of the ones I think about, through this is our friend Legina. So
Yep.
Next local headline, we were all shocked to see this. I was pretty surprised when I saw that Big Surf Water Park officially listed for sale.
Yeah, how about this? So the listing says an exciting opportunity awaits to own the largest, fastest, most enjoyable, safest, and cleanest family fun water park at the Lake of the Ozarks and possibly the entire U.S. Currently open, thriving 2024 season business, immaculate from the grounds to the rides, pools, patio furnishings, buildings, and financial records. So this is kind of an iconic place at the Lake of the Ozarks from over the years. It's like you said, I was surprised too. There's been a lot of these lately. I mean, we had Bear Bottoms that went up for sales, Captain Ron's, Larry's at the Lake. A lot of those big places lately have been up for sale. Here's another one.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, I've talked to some people involved. At $2.7 million, listed through All Pro, Jason Whittle All Pro, Remax, it's Troy and Donna Meyer have this listed. Total 49.8 acres are included in this sale. It includes the 19 acres of the water park with the parking there, but right adjacent, across the park from that, I don't know if you remember, but Big Shots, it used to be an arcade. They used to have putt-putt golf and go-karts and bumper boats. Well, that section is included, and that's another 30 acres, so that's how you get to 50 acres total.
Wow.
And when I saw the $2.7 million price tag, I just felt like that was so low. For 50 acres, you have the infrastructure. It's a turnkey business. I mean, I reached out to the owners, I reached out to the realtors, and I said, okay, so are there major capital improvements and investments that are going to have to be done? And I go, oh no, like we're open for business. We're having a great year. So I asked, why is it so cheap? And they said, you're absolutely right. It is undervalued. The owners are tired and they want to see their tradition carry on. So they're aggressive they're pricing it, wanting it to sell, but they're leaving some money on the table. And I'm not just talking about $200,000 or $300,000. I mean, this is greatly undervalued, and for the right investor. I mean, a water park, turnkey, 50 acres right off 54 in Lynn Creek. It doesn't get any better. And as you alluded to, as far as iconic attractions at Lake of the Ozarks, top 3, maybe you'd stretch it if you said top 5, but I'd put them top 3.
Yeah, I think
Big
so
Surf
too.
Water Park.
And with things like, the big amusement park coming in, there's just going to be more and more people coming in. I think the water park is just going to get busier and busier in the years to come. It's going to be a good business buy for somebody, I think.
And one thought I had too was, I wonder if with the indoor water park coming in, if they thought, okay, well, we've seen some different numbers over the last 5 to 10 years, and so is there a fear with this new indoor water park? And I would understand that.
That's a good point.
But I'd also think indoor, outdoor, completely different, and there's going to be such an influx of people coming down to the lake that I wouldn't think getting people into the only outdoor water park at the lake would be an issue. But that was a thought that's pretty logical,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good thought, yeah.
Another water park coming. We haven't had that. So interesting nonetheless. All right, so the big one, everyone's been talking about this. There was a no pay, apparently, at the Fish & Co., and there was an assault on a 20-year-old server at the Fish & Co., Liana Bartels. She was serving at the Fish & Co., and boy, did things go haywire.
Yeah, so she gets this group of people that come in for dinner at Fish & Company, and one of them looks like they're underage. She orders an alcoholic beverage, but didn't have her ID. So the server says, well, I can't serve you, you don't have your ID. They were upset about that, right? And then according to her Facebook post, about 30 minutes later, they decided to order food, which they did. The wait for food at that point was about an hour and a half. And the server did not tell the table that, apparently, according to her Facebook post.
Correct, yeah.
And so time goes on. This table of people keeps drinking, I'm guessing. And, an hour and a half later, they still don't have their food, so they're getting upset. And apparently she said, okay, the food is coming out now. We can make it to go for you. This is according to the server. And they said, okay, or something like that. She goes to get the food and they leave. They go to the boat. They're starting to leave. And she runs after them to take them the tab and say, okay, hey, you need to pay your tab here. And then according to her Facebook post, they kind of pulled her into the water and left.
Sure.
right? And she's sitting there swimming in the water at fishing company with no ladders to come up. She had all of her gear on and everything, her phone and stuff like that. So that's her story. Of course, we haven't heard from the people who left. They're still apparently looking for those people, right? But what a crazy story, right?
Yeah, and you've seen all kinds of video posted, Spider Network cameras, which they've got. They show them leaving on the dock. You don't get to see anything that happens down there. And this poor girl, I mean, you've heard her story. Her parents had posted on Facebook. We know she's a single mother. We know her phone and her earbuds and her ticket book were there when they pulled her in. So I'm definitely understanding all of the support and empathy for this young Liana Bartels. However, based on her Facebook post, I did want to bring up two important parts that were worth noting. First, she mentioned that she did not tell them it was going to be an hour and a half wait on food. Now, I don't know if that was a typo. Like if she meant to say, hey, I let
did
them
warn
know.
them, right, yeah.
Because if you didn't tell them, I'm not sure you'd put that in the post, but I didn't tell them there was an hour and a half wait on food. They were getting tired of waiting, and she claims it had only been an hour and a half. Well, if you have an hour and a half wait at a place and the food is finally coming up, that's what I always told my tables, was it's been an hour and a half, but the likelihood it's probably been a little longer. And so they don't want their food at this point. They say, we don't want our food. She counters with, hey, I'll box it up for you. I'll send it with you. They did not want that. She goes to do that anyway, and by the time she comes back to the table, they're down at the dock. Now, my understanding from that is, look, you didn't give me my food in time. We're not paying for it. We're not eating it. We don't want it to go. As far as the drinks, that is probably something that needs to be figured out, whether they pay for those, whether the owner or management comps those them, sorry for the wait, poor experience, whatever that looks like. I'm not condoning that she's claiming they grabbed her and pulled her in to the lake. That's inexcusable. Also trying to be upset with a young lady for doing her job, protecting the establishment's liquor license by saying you have to have your ID. But these are all just hearsay. This is all just bits and pieces. But based on the server's post on Facebook, she didn't tell them it was going to be an hour and a half.
Right.
Likelihood food came out longer than that. They said, no, we're done. We don't want our food. And you chase them down to the dock, as we see, without boxes of food. So they never did get their food. Wanting them to pay their bill in full, that also seems a little questionable to me. And so I want to see more information here. And obviously with the Spider Network cameras, you don't see what happened. It's heartbreaking, this poor young girl who is working. Her parents said she's not a great swimmer. Her headphones are broken. Luckily, her phone's okay. But, I mean, this is a traumatizing experience.
Yeah.
But it sounds to me also like the establishment in place, maybe some training as far as, hey, when something like this happens, it's trying, hey, here's your bill, I'm going to buy, I don't want it. No, I'm boxing it up, coming to get it, chase them down to the dock. I mean, I'm not sure that was handled properly either. I'm not saying it was handled wrong. I'm just saying I still have questions at this point based on her Facebook post, lack of information you can see from the cameras. But if this is absolutely what happened, where they ran out of the bill and they pulled this poor girl in the water, shame on them, and I hope they get prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I'm just not willing to join the group of people that is attacking this group, saying, oh, they're the ones that did everything, because I have some questions at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. There does need to be some investigation going on there for sure. I mean, all of us can say we've been at an establishment at some point and we were not happy with the way things were, and we got up and left. Okay, it's been too long, food's still waiting, I'm out of here, kind of a thing, so.
It happens. All right, so real quick, this week's LOZ app rumor mill, we're going to make it quick. So we told you, Jeff Hooker, Camdenton City Administrator, is taking the job with the city of Osage Beach. Well, hold on, a couple weeks ago, he decided for personal reasons he was going to stay with the city of Camdenton. And so I read the agenda meeting minutes for the meeting on July 2nd, which happened the day we recorded, and they had made a motion in their minutes to actually hire Devin M. Lake is going to be the appointment. They're looking to get her to take over. So Jeff Hooker, he's staying at Camdenton, and so Gina Woods is going to stay on as late as early September now, but looks like Devin M. Lake is going to be named as the new city administrator for the city of Osage Beach.
Wow, okay.
So, interesting. And that is going to do it for this week's LOZ app rumor mill. Also, do not miss Ken Lawler on the LOZ app with the LOZ app on our community spotlight, the big ice melt challenge.
Yeah, that's very cool. But he gives us the story behind the LOZ app, how he came up with the idea and all that stuff. So be sure to watch that this week on the Community Spotlight Show. That's going to be a lot of fun. And also a reminder, high school football is coming fast. Yeah. That's only just over a month away now for high school football.
No doubt. And hey, listen, happy 4th of July, my friends. Make sure that you're safe. There's fireworks going on starting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all the way into Saturday. So you want to check those out from Uncle Chris and Wild Will. We'll see you guys next week.